Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Down to Business. Look, again, I've got another business owner, a new business owner here with me today, being Courtney Knight, who I think the official title is the CFO of Core Project Group. A lot of you around the Newcastle area would have seen, the Core Project Group signs everywhere and some pretty iconic builds. Courtney's role's changed over time. I'll let him explain a bit about that. But as I said, a very recent new shareholder, so now not just the CFO, but actually a business owner. I know he's a frustrated AFL president, former player that probably didn't go that bad, a father, a husband, likes to get about town, but generally a good bloke that's doing some good things in business, and I reckon we can learn some stuff today that can help many of our viewers as well. So welcome, Court.
Thanks, Andrew.
And I guess to start with, you've been at Core Project Group for, 5 years now, thereabouts?
Yeah, just over 6, actually.
Oh, there you go. I'm close enough. But I think on that, what a bit of background about how you, but what about your history and then how you found your way to Core Project Group? Because you're not, whilst you've been around construction, you're not, qualified in construction, I guess the best way to describe it.
That's right. Certainly not a builder, Andrew. From school, went to university to study commerce, fairly blindly, I guess, and was given an opportunity or with a local builder developer, probably not too dissimilar to a larger scale of what Core Project Group has evolved into, and then worked through some roles just based on opportunities while I was there, and then ended up studying the Masters of Property at Newcastle University and doubling back and doing a CPA. So, coming from a numbers background, I feel like I've got some good experience and some further studies and qualifications in that property space as well. So, I guess some of the things that I've been able to add to our business have been more the end-to-end process that we're involved with, as opposed to just the construction component, and a commercial slant. I guess the other shareholders are both from a building background, so being able to bring a commercial angle to everything that we do.
So I guess, and from that original start, you had a couple of jumps, I understand, between coming to Core, but I guess met now your other shareholders, but the directors in previous roles. That's probably so relationship based.
Yeah, that's right. We worked on for the same business. We didn't work directly with each other, but we hit it off. I think we talk about culture, and I think that's something that particularly Jamie, Tom, and myself share. The core to our daily drive is really around our families. And I guess sport probably sits somewhere around there, and business. So I think we've got a pretty good perspective, I guess we think, on life, and and we enjoy coming to work because I guess it supplements our lifestyle and our families. So I think we've got a lot in common, although we're not from the same profession, and I guess didn't work directly with each other previously. So we always sort of had in the back of our mind that we'd end up doing something together.
So I guess that found your way into Core as a CFO, a Chief Financial Officer. But talk to me about that compared to prior roles. I guess your role has evolved a lot more outside of the finance sphere.
Yeah, and I guess part of that comes around trying to build a sustainable business. In Newcastle, particularly in our game, you really need to be able to scale up and down. And part of our strategy is saying, we'll not overcomplicate our systems and processes. We'll really roll the sleeves up, and even from things to emptying the dishwasher, for instance. You could certainly put someone in a role to do all those sort of things from an admin perspective. But we're strong believers if we all roll our sleeves up and we all do the jobs required to keep the business ticking over. We've got a sustainable business model. So yeah, from the outset, it was a fairly broad role. I think from day one, we said the delineation was everything not directly facing a project. That's evolved a bit over that time, but it's been a
Yeah, right. And we'll talk about Core itself, because I think I'll get this wrong as well. What's in its 8th year now, or
Yep.
something like that,
both here,
thereabouts. But I guess Core, in my understanding, evolved out of Tom and Jamie, and Jamie Lind, effectively believing they could do things differently, better customer service. So talk to me about, I guess, Core's background.
Yeah, well, they were at the top of their tree, in their existing roles, and they had some strong views on how things could be done better, and they had some ambitious plans, and they thought the best way to see those through was to start out on their own. One of their first major clients was PKF back in about 2013, I think it was, and they're very personable people, and really wanted to make sure that those qualities of their day-to-day dealings were seen through in the business, and that was the core of what their recruitment profile was set around, was making sure we had the right people, and I guess if they had some shortcomings in some of their skills and experience, you could top those things up, but you certainly couldn't top up shortcomings in personality and character. So that was the outset of the business, and it's grown and evolved from there.
Okay, and I guess again, talking about Core Project, and I alluded to this at the start of the chat here. You see the signs up some pretty big buildings. We've just done the new Kingsley hotel up at the old council building. We've got the new council building, I guess is the best way to describe it. The iconic building on the corner here as you come in for the Gateway project. Even around where we're sitting right now, some pretty big builds for what we've seen in Newcastle in I guess this modern day rising of the economy, if you like. So with that, it's easy to just think that that's all you do. Tell me a bit about the breadth of the projects that you actually undertake.
Yeah, well, I guess those few that you've mentioned are probably the more well publicised projects. Certainly in landmark positions, those three in particular. But we in the early days really set out on a recession-proof strategy. So the recession-proof strategy really meant to try and tap into industries that were recession-proof. So through the ups and downs of the late 2000s, and even what we've seen over the last 12 or 18 months, trying to tap into some of those industries and sectors that were a little bit shielded from that. So things around health and education are probably two key ones. We've done some work in the aged care space as well. We finished a large aged care facility out for Anglican care out at Warrigal on the lake there, which is a pretty impressive project. And some of the stuff we've been really proud of have been projects like helping the Westpac Rescue Helicopter relocate their Hunter operations down to the Belmont airport. So I think what we've been able to demonstrate in our portfolio is really a real sort of broad breadth of projects. Broad range of clients, be that private sector owner-operators to investors like the stuff in Newcastle West, right through to owner-operators such as Anglican Care and the Crystal Brook Collection, the hotel down in the Civic Precinct.
Yeah, and I guess it's also then you've got a small works team that do a lot of smaller stuff too. Then I think with this, I know you and I have discussed this before, and for business owners, I guess who are watching this, it's great to have your big projects that probably, if anything, it strokes the ego a bit and gives that challenge to not only owners but your people to challenge themselves and grow their own resume, if you like. But at the end of the day, you've got to be very selective in projects. You got to make sure that you can pay the bills, and you got to make sure you're making money out of things. So I think it's a good message to get across that whilst we've got those iconic ones that get promoted, there's a lot of stuff in between that you do.
Yeah, certainly, and that sustainability piece in this market, not just in our sector but many other sectors, being a second city that Newcastle is really important. So we do have a large range of projects that we've completed that are, I guess, smaller CapEx type projects, and it's certainly something we could market a bit better. But we've done a lot of fit out work. We've done some small maintenance and alts and ads projects for hospitals and education, both at the uni and in schools. I think we've worked at all the major shopping centres now at Green Hills, Charlestown, and Katara. So, the mix of projects for us is really important, really important. To keep working with a range of different clients, range of different processes, range of different buildings. Making sure that we're working with consultants, frequently and not just on the big projects. We do have a pretty good size, sort of small to medium cap team, and they work feverishly in the background on projects that probably don't make the highlight reel, I guess, particularly on in some of the media platforms that our bigger projects have.
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess with that, it's not just the projects that have been done within Core. I mean, you, at the end of the day, you're a fairly young business, but there's a lot of experience. I know you've, and again, from an employer's point of view, you've been very targeted and selected in who you have tried to get on the team from a point of view of personnel and skill sets. Talk about some of the experience of your people that lead to some of these projects or aspirational jobs, if you like.
Yeah, well, our people is core to our business. We're a service provider. We're not rolling out houses like McDonald Jones. We haven't got a product as such. The product itself is our people, and turning the plans and visions of our clients into reality. So, I mentioned earlier that the culture and character of our people is absolutely paramount, and I think it's a cliche used pretty extensively nowadays. But we are really, really firm believers that you can't teach people some of those skills that we think are important, but you can teach some experience and technical skills. So, I've said a few times before that maybe some of our guys have come on and they might have been batting above the average, but, they return that in spades as far as their effort and loyalty, and the right people improve and pick up those skill shortcomings quite quickly. So, we've targeted a few people for particular roles in the past, and we've also just used the opportunity to grab the right people when they're available, whether there's a job for them or not, and find jobs for them as well. And I sort of mentioned earlier as well about unpacking a dishwasher. I think that's a pretty basic example of the sort of things that you may or may not have to do in the office. But some of these guys that have worked on big projects, be that project managers or site managers or foremen, would typically work on a big project and jump around from project to project, whereas we offer these guys permanent employment for a sustainable period of time. So from time to time they'll be doing small shop fit outs or maintenance work from time to time to carry them in between those bigger projects. And once again, it's not everyone has the character to be able to do those sort of things.
Yeah, I know that's a key message when you're recruiting, to try and get out to people, but also then to see how they respond. So talk to me about being a small business, being in Newcastle. When I say small, like by relative number, these people you've attracted, which again, to me, business is people. Unless you're just an online shop or something like that, if you're dealing with people, that is your make or break. People leaving some of the big guys in your industry to come to you. It can't just all be money. Talk to me about some of the messaging or some of the benefits you think you can provide and viewers could learn from a point of view of attracting people to a smaller business.
Yeah, well, sustainability of your employment is a key message, but being a part of the culture, being a part of the team. We have only employed local people. Typically people that have been involved in sport. There's a fair few crossover characteristics with people that are successful in that environment and people that are successful in business. So, people can see, the people that we're talking with to come and be a part of our business can tangibly see what the benefits are of coming on board with our business. As I said, sustainability is a big one. There's some big projects around town and some big builders around town that we believe that we can offer them our guys more sustainable employment than some of these big guys that come in and out of town. But coming back to that cultural fit, I think that's something that is really appealing to our guys, and certainly something that is very appealing to me. It's enjoyable coming to work. it's certainly not onerous on a Monday morning to get up and come into the office. We've got really great people, really good environment in the office as well, both physically and from a cultural perspective. So it's those less tangible things that are really appealing to the guys that we're trying to get on board and have been successful in attracting in the past.
Yeah, no, that's good. No, I think you've got some people that have come on board that maybe, as you said before, maybe doing smaller stuff sometimes, but they're also got a breadth of experience that projects you aren't necessarily delivering yet, but that provides good opportunity for the business growth as well.
Yeah, that's certainly right. And being a young business, we've had to be deliberate in some of those appointments. The best example is around our aged care, our aged care team. We've deliberately targeted some guys that we think are the best in the industry in the Hunter. And I guess from time to time that can be difficult to really communicate and put forward in your submissions or in your conversations to potential clients. Where you might come up against a builder who has done 10 or 15 of this particular product before, whereas we may not have directly been able to directly do a project like this, but our guys have, and our guys have got extensive experience in some of these areas. So it's a process that we've been quite deliberate in trying to develop a team like this. And it's something that has been relatively successful to date, and something that we'll continue to try and leverage from.
Yeah, good. So, taking those people then when you're dealing with clients, I know you strongly believe that you've got a certain difference about you, a point of difference in dealing with clients. Talk to me about that approach, and for the layman, you guys are builders, but what is different about your approach with clients and Core Project Group?
Yeah, well, I guess everyone thinks they're different, but I think what we can offer our clients is the full end-to-end service, which I think other builders can probably do as well. But we're authentic in our dealings, and that's something that you've certainly spoken with me quite extensively. But the directors are very, very conscious to give their guys and other people, all the guys in our team, the ability and the autonomy to be able to make decisions and be themselves. So they're given enough, more than enough rope to be themselves and manage certain situations, whether they're conflicts, I guess, or whether that might be subcontractor based, whether they're situations around giving approval and instruction, rather than have to go home and ask mum and dad for permission. We really make sure we give the guys that autonomy to make their own decisions and do what they think is best, and that's what they're employed to do. So I think that's a real point of difference in our business, and something that clients in particular, but also subcontractors and consultants can have confidence that when they're in a meeting with us or when they're going through an issue, they can get a resolution on the spot, and that's something that we appreciate both ways as well, but it's something that we pretty strongly offer.
Again, I guess for anyone watching, I agree with that is a big a point of difference. However, it's not just do whatever you want. There's still a framework around that autonomy you're giving people.
Yep. Yeah, certainly. And I think we put a lot of time and effort up front in projects. We've got a really good in-house design team, really good estimators and planners in our business as well. So a lot of those issues and courses of action are really resolved internally before they occur. So it comes back to that budget to approval analogy. If we get everything sorted out and resolved and planned and set, right up front, then everything is just fitting within that process. So I guess that can be a little bit hard to explain, but working through projects, I see it very, very frequently where things can be resolved really quickly, for the better outcomes of the project.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And I think, this is where authenticity, I think, needs to be part of business. Too many people try to pull the wool over others' eyes. And I think, I've seen where some of your projects you've missed out on because you've probably been too honest with, things that may not have been a tender document or a scope, and you point them out, but maybe that puts the price up. So, you know, I think that wins out at the end of the day. But yeah, I couldn't stress more for people when they're in business that it is about relationships, and that authenticity is a key part of that.
Yeah, spot on.
All right, so tell me about some of your challenges. I know I've worked with you for a few years, you know, from when you came into the business, as I said, going from the bean counter, if you like, to a bit more of a broader oversight. What are some of the challenges you find in business, whether it be day in, day out or month in, month out, and how do you navigate those?
Yeah, well, I guess it's a challenging industry at the moment. It's very competitive up here. There's quite a lot of Sydney builders, national, multinational builders that are in town at the moment. Whether they're chasing the government dollars or whether they've just the secret's out. We're finding it a really competitive market, and I guess these things might. These projects we're working on might look like huge, big, glamorous projects. We're playing with very, very finite margins as well. So I think they're the main challenges. A super competitive market and really tight margins are things that we're constantly up against.
Yeah, so again, you've got to come back to that job selection.
That's right.
Maybe when you get down to it, it's not the projects to take on.
Yeah, job selection and diversity as well, making sure you're spreading that risk across a number of projects. Cash flow risks is a big one for us in our industry. So making sure that when we're offering security, it's structured appropriately so that we're not exposing our cash, or we've got our cash available.
Well, I think a couple of points on that one. It's also who provides the cash. It's make sure you've got the right financier as a partner,
certainly,
that understand what you're trying to achieve.
That's right.
And that's in a day and age of where a lot of banks are trying to go through that centralised model. That can become quite hard to be sitting with a decision maker. So I guess that's something you've been going okay with. And to me, the other part around that management is making sure you've got, I would say this as a tax advisor if you like, but having that absolute right structure to cover that risk and make sure not all your eggs are in one basket.
Yeah, certainly right. And as you said, making sure you've got financiers that are clear on what your objectives are. And we've worked really hard to get the structure that we're happy with. And I guess one thing that I have missed that's probably the most critical of them all is really around safety. In our game, the directors are liable for any injuries or deaths that may happen on your projects. So we need to go to absolute extents to ensure that our systems and processes are genuinely safe and genuinely trying to find and resolve issues before they occur. So we've got a very extensive IMS, integrated management system that we utilise across the business, and we are constantly reviewing and auditing and checking and reviewing and auditing and checking our systems and processes. So that is absolutely paramount for us. Or I guess not only could you not sleep at night, but you actually are putting your staff and contractors at risk for health and injury issues.
And I mean, I've seen some of your internal workings, but it's easy to talk about this stuff and saying, yeah, they've got to be things that are on our radar, if you like. But there's a lot of processes and documentation and checklists, not to the point of strangulation, but for consistency and making sure we don't have these things that creep up on us within your business. Do you want to talk a bit about that?
Yeah, well, that's right, and it can very often be a system that is used for the sake of having a system, and we're constantly coming back to the root cause of why we're doing this, and that is to make our sites safe. So we're meeting frequently. We meet as an organisation, we meet as a management team, and the directors meet as well to discuss these specific issues. And very frequently, particularly when all of the team is coming together, we keep coming back to the fact that this is a genuine push to ensure that we have safe work sites, not just to tick boxes. So the KISS principle, keep it simple. We really do try and keep it simple, but ensuring that we do have a thorough system. And I guess that's another component. We've been really deliberate in ensuring that we can leverage off good quality systems, and systems that are scalable up and down. We talk about our integrated management system, trying to keep it simple, trying to keep it straightforward, trying to keep it easy to use. But being able to leverage off technology has been something that makes it even easier. Both from my perspective, sitting in the office, finding out that somebody's cut their hand it'll hit my desk within 5 minutes, and comprehensively as well. Thorough reporting and updates, and then straight off the back of that, there'll be incident investigations and review processes that'll then filter through the meetings over the coming month or days on site to ensure that these things aren't happening. So, having a rigid system that's flexible enough to not be onerous, but also being able to leverage off software and technology to ensure that it is easy to use and things are being done in a timely manner.
No, very good. I think the point that I like about that is that we have got process in place. We talk about what differentiates a great business from a mediocre business, and I think a lot of that is the people, but you want people performing consistently and to certain standards. And for me, that's got to be, we need documented processes, not just in people's heads.
Yeah, that's right.
Mate, you've mentioned a lot about culture and culture at Core Project Group. Now, I'll challenge you a little bit in this because I think culture is one of the most overused concepts these days, and it's like someone's jumped on it and everyone talks about culture. But I agree with you, you've got a great culture down there, but I think culture's a result. For me, I want to talk about some of the, behaviours that go into generating that culture that people may be able to, take some insight from.
Yeah, well, I guess being accessible is the first point. From the moment you walk into our office, we've got an open plan office. Someone walking into our office for the first time and not knowing anyone, you wouldn't know who was the boss, or we genuinely do have an accessible open door policy in our business. And I think some of the actions and some of the characteristics around teamwork are really important. They're very hard to teach. That comes in the form of teaching and mentoring, right the way through to when things do go wrong, which happens frequently in our industry. Taking responsibility as a team and then working as a team to resolve them. So, I think you spend a month in our office, you can very quickly see some of those actions around our culture. And I do agree that the term culture is bandied around pretty extensively. But when you get things right, it's important to bottle it and I guess try and reward it. And I'll be honest in saying that there's quite a few things that we can continue to improve on. But we know that if we don't get our people and our culture right, not much else is important.
No, it's a good one, but yeah, it's certain things that I think that accessibility one, simple things like saying hello to people, saying goodbye to people. They're things we're taught when we're kids, but often they get lost somewhere along the way. And I've been in your office, and I agree with you. It's a pretty flat structure from a point of view of accessibility and talking to people. And I think, but that's what people like, that people go that bit extra and create that culture that we're talking about. So yeah, that's well done. Probably the other point I just want to cover off on was really, I think people think of builders, and I say this very generally, and think, you hammer a nail or you put a bit of timber, but probably don't think about the background of the business. Now, you guys are handling a fair bit of risk, but you've also got quite a lot of a governance structure in place, your advisory board, that sort of thing. So talk to me about some of that aspect of working on the business rather than just in the business, and how you create time for that.
Yeah, well, once again, that's certainly something that you can always, well, not always, but we think we can improve on is the working on the business and not in the business, which is very hard to do. But we've got a really good governance process. We meet quarterly as an advisory board team. You chair those meetings, Andrew, and we meet annually to go through a strategic planning process. So we're probably into our third phase of our strategic planning process currently, which is something that really drove me to want to be a part of the business as a shareholder. I think there's some exciting prospects on the horizon, but I'm very confident in the way that we do strategise our business. And I think when we talk, a lot of these things that we've talked about don't happen by chance. They do happen deliberately, and they have been planned for and reported on and reviewed constantly. Now, I think spreadsheets and tick boxes and bits and pieces are great to have, but at the end of the day, coming up with a strategy that you genuinely believe in and you genuinely believe can take your business forward and making sure that you're checking in on those things frequently. Now, we do have really, really strong advisors supporting the business, but we make sure as the three directors, we make sure we catch up weekly and try not to get too bogged down in the day-to-day issues. We do have time to go through those day-to-day issues, sure. But from a higher level, the agenda of these meetings are typically around where's the business going, what are the opportunities out there, and what are those sort of strategic issues that we need to continue to work on. So, it's something that you do need to make time for, and lock into the diaries, for instance, to make sure that you don't just get carried away with the day-to-day issues, which you can certainly do. You can probably work twice the amount of hours a week to work on the day-to-day issues, but if you're wandering in the field without a torch in the middle of the night, you don't know where you're going to end up. So, it's been a process and a structure that's worked quite well for us so far, and I'm pretty confident that we'll.
And like the good thing is this isn't just best practice for you guys; it's best practice for business, and it's just not enough apply it. But it's produced good results for you to date. Yeah, no, very good. And I guess probably finally from me, it's really what's the future for Core Project Group?
Yeah, well, look, we've got some really exciting prospects in the pipeline. We want to continue to work with good clients and repeat clients, and that's something we want to continue to embed over this next phase of our business, while diversifying our income streams. So, you talked about our small caps team. That's something that we'll be looking to promote and leverage more into the next period of time, and making sure that we have similar outlook on this business in the next 3, 5, 9 years into the future, and not sure what that business will look like over those period of time, but if we're continually reviewing our strategy and structure, then I'm confident that we'll be able to take opportunities as they present.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think what you didn't mention before was your in your governance framework, your level of reporting that happens at a minimum monthly for some areas, sometimes more frequent than that. But it's assessing that outcome, not looking backwards so much, but using the yardstick and constantly looking forward, planning where you might need to adapt. And I think that's one of the things I've seen with your group is its agility. So works quite well. And going from, as you said, a $100,000 school job, just doing some capex, up to what you're building just down the road here, that's 60 million. You need a bit of planning and knowing where your resources are going and being able to zig rather than zag. So I think it's a key point, and well done.
Yeah, and I think information overload's critical there. I mean, you can report as long as you like. We could have it, as I said before, you could have as many people as you like reporting, but working out exactly what the critical issues are or what the critical KPIs are, and being right across those. And for us, cash and project risk are the two key areas, and they're the crux of what we're trying to keep our finger on the pulse of on a regular basis. So, not overdoing it on the reporting front, but making sure you are across the key areas in a time and manner.
Yeah, no, that's great, mate. I think of all the videos we do of these, we meet very different advisors or business people, whatever it may be, but there's some key meshes keep constantly coming up. I think some of yours from today that I took was really about stretching yourself, but having the right support around you, whether that be internally or externally. Accessibility internally creates, quite a good team vibe. Making sure you get the right people on board, whether you're targeting them for a skill set and you think you can provide something better, or you're growing your own and you're giving them opportunity through mentoring, etc. Some pretty key points. But working on the business rather than just in it all the time, and make sure you've got good information for better decision making and planning ahead. So there's probably more in there, but I think there's some key points people can learn from. So, mate, any closing comments?
No, look, appreciate the chat, Beats. It's been good.
Thanks, mate, for joining me. Another great business here in the Hunter, and hopefully you got something out of that. And until next time, cheers.